So the next two, I thought I was done with my slides, and then two things just popped up on my radar really quick that I had to just discuss, mostly because this one involves our favorite, Bradley R. Wilcox, right? There he
I
is.
got to say something, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
That's a picture of Bradley Wilcox. That's a good picture. That's the best picture I've ever seen of Bradley Wilcox.
Is it because it's dark?
I think it's because he's not smiling.
Oh, yeah. He does look very serious because this is a very serious topic. So
he has a good serious look, and that his profile is better than his straight on shot, I think.
Well, there you go. And it seems like he has a new haircut. Doesn't that kind of look like a new haircut? In fact, I would not have recognized him almost had I not seen it written that it was Bradley Wilcox. So this was in the church news. This is a mountaintop experience. New Heber Valley Camp Night Walk aims to help youth look unto Christ. So of course they've been covering darkness and night in Heber Valley for almost 2 years now, right? With the temple being built and the county commission waiving all dark skies ordinances so the temple can eventually be built. And here is a camp that wants it to be dark. This is how they operate, in the darkness. So let me tell you guys what this is all about. And I can't wait to get your reaction. So it says, the sunlight faded into the night. Brother Bradley R. Wilcox, first counselor of the Young Men's General Presidency for now, right, because he was released, stood on a rock and addressed the group. Weeks after its installation at the church's Heber Valley camp, he said, thousands of youth have already traversed the dimly lit trail, calling it incredible and life-changing. Now, I have to explain to you what this is. It is a nighttime trail. They take the kids up there in the evening, right? Where it's beautiful to be out in nature in the evening. If you've ever sat around a campfire or, looked at the stars, that's not what they're doing here. What they've done is they've created a path where they have video screens, TVs, hooked up to, I'm assuming, some kind of generator where they're showing, LDS videos about the life of Christ. They have walkways with signs, about Jesus and LDS dogma. They put noise canceling headphones on the youth. That's what you're seeing right here. So they're not hearing the natural
You wouldn't
sound.
want to hear those birds chirping or anything.
That's what I'm saying. None of that. We're not going to hear the birds, the cicadas. We're not going to hear anything like that. We're going to have a noise canceling headphone on. And then what you hear in your ear are inspirational quotes, conference snippets.
It's general conference in the woods.
Exactly. So, here's a picture. Look, I can't make this stuff up, honestly.
Is that like Bigfoot or something on the right?
No, that's a picture of Christ, right? So it says the 1.3 mile walk divided into 9 checkpoints starts with participants receiving noise canceling headphones. Groups of 20 to 30 hike the path, listening to recorded audio with thought-provoking dialogue, church leaders' quotes, and inspirational music while passing large images and television screens out in the forest, depicting scenes from the Savior's life. Now, I was thinking about this, why this was bothering me so much today, and I was talking it over with my co-host Landon, and I'm just like, nature is something that a lot of people who step away from the LDS church discover suddenly, and they get that elevated emotion from nature. They have aha moments. They touch, divinity, spirituality through nature, and they kind of go, wow, I feel this way more than I felt in church. So I kind of feel like they're just hijacking nature with this sensory deprivation kind of a thing, with noise canceling headphones where they're just pumping conference talks. They're having you walk down a path so you kind of feel like you're in nature, but you've got these big screens. I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on why.
As Thoreau said, we can never have enough of Mormonism. Yeah, and I just realized that picture on the right, that's the 1832 account of the first vision.
Yeah, it probably is. I don't know. But then it says the young women and young men's general presidencies who were introduced to the concept last fall hope to replicate the experience for youth worldwide. So maybe they'll be traipsing through the Brazilian jungles. I don't know what they're going to be doing in the coming years. And it's a huge effort to put this together, but you can see the pictures there. Right there on the left is a giant, candles lit. It's almost like a huge altar to Christ. This has a lot of earmarks of kind of Catholicism to me. And then you can see the signs that they put up along the way. When you start down the path, you have to journal about a trial that you're having. You have to think of something that you're doing wrong. And I'm guessing probably everybody's going to write porn. I don't know. And then you walk down this path and you kind of make a resolution to do better, to try better. But I don't know, maybe you guys can put your finger on more why this bothers me so much. But
well, you have this thing up here that I want you to explain to me, where it says that on this little sign, I am enough. That's an anti-Mormon doctrine. That's never taught in Mormonism.
Exactly. You're never enough in Mormonism. But it reminds me of a time when I went to girls' camp back in the 80s, and I took some not Mormon friends from high school, went with our friend group, and we had a carnival of life, right? Those role-playing things that they used to do in the 80s, and different stations you would go to, and you could win tickets, and if you got enough, you could go to the celestial kingdom. And to me, it was normal because there'd been those kinds of role-playing things all along when we were youth. But these girls that were not LDS, they walked out and they said, Rebecca, that's like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. That's super weird and creepy. And I remember thinking, is it? I mean, I didn't know because I was so indoctrinated into that. But that was the first inkling that I got that some of these things are actually not only not great, but could be harmful.
Well, they're certainly trying to give their youth a spiritual experience. And they actually say this in a number of places, that this trip, this 1.3 mile Jesus walk, is designed to give personal spiritual experiences.
Yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. I think this kind of thing would work in any religion. You could get the Jehovah's Witnesses out in the woods and do the same thing and play the quotes of their leaders, and they would feel something. The youth of the Jehovah's Witnesses would have a spiritual experience, as RFM is pointing out. It could be the Catholics, it could be the Methodists, it could be the Pentecostals, it could be the Scientologists, it could be anybody. And it's a way to make people think they had a Mormon experience when really all they had was a human experience.
Exactly.
I just told my wife this halibut was good enough for Jehovah.
I don't know. So I don't know.
A dingo ate my baby. A dingo.
That's right. The dingo ate my baby. Yeah. I don't know if anyone in the chat has a kid that has attended something like this or what your thoughts are, but I just couldn't put my finger on, it was hijacking a natural human elevated emotion experience, the aha you get from nature that a lot of post-Mormons discover for the first time, when they kind of step away and have Second Saturday. And it's just closing you off with, sensory deprivation and putting you on a path where you are inundated with these messages. And I don't know, it just really bothered me. But